Hello guys, this is part 106 of ASP.NET video series. In this video we will discuss about adding custom events to user controls. This will enable us to understand events and delegates much better. To get the most out of this video, I would strongly recommend to watch parts 104 and 105 from the ASP.NET video series and parts 36 to 39 from the C# video series. Now most okay now most people actually feel events and delegates are a complex subject and they are difficult to understand. I will try my best to make these concepts as simple as possible. But trust me, if we get the basics right, events and delegate are not really that difficult to understand. There are two very important points to keep in mind when designing event and delegates. Now delegates are function pointers. So now delegates are function pointers and their syntax is much similar to that of a function, whereas events are variables of type delegates with an event keyword in front of them. Now if these points are not very clear at the moment, don't worry, they will be much clearer as we progress in this video. In our previous sessions, we have designed the calendar user control class, which is a very simple user control. So as you can see, this calendar user, I'm talking about this, which is a very simple user control. Now as the control stands at the moment, it does not have any custom event. So this is the control that we have designed. If you look at the implementation of this control, this is pretty simple and straightforward. If you have not watched, if you looked at it, the coding, if you look at this implementation of this control, this is pretty simple and straightforward. If you have not watched previous session, I would strongly encourage you to do so. So before continuing with this session, all this user control this user control has at the moment is, this custom property. Where is the custom property? All this, here it is. This is the custom property. So all this user control has at the moment is, this custom property, and we have seen how to retrieve that custom property on the web form. On the web form, where we are using this, calendar user control. This is the calendar user control. So when I click this button, within the button click event, what we are doing, we are retrieving the selected date. We are retrieving the selected date. Here it is, and that is the custom property, okay, within the button click event. We have this. What we are doing, we are retrieving the selected date, and that is the custom property that we have created within the calendar user control one. That is the custom property that we have created within the calendar user control one. And then printing the date, printing the date that the user has selected. Okay, now in the video we want to create an event for the changed user, for the calendar user control. Now in this video we want to create an event for the calendar user control. Okay, now what event do we want to create? Now look at this. Whenever I click on this image button, okay, look at this. Whenever I click on this image button, the visibility of the calendar changes. Means if I click this image button, okay, not right now. So if I click on this image button, the visibility of the calendar changes. Means go to the browser, and here if I click this image button, if it is visible, it becomes hidden. Now it is rightly now visible. So if I click this image button, then it gets hide. If it is hidden, then it becomes visible. And along the same line, when I select a date, as soon as I select the date, the calendar becomes invisible. So the calendar visibility is changing within this user control. Calendar visibility is changing within this user control. So whenever the calendar visibility is changing within the user control, I want to raise a calendar visibility changed event. Okay, now this is in line with the standard ASP.NET drop down list control. For example, now within the drop down list, whenever you change a selection, drop down list selection changed event is raised. So along the same line, whenever the visibility of the calendar changes within the calendar user control. Within the calendar user control, we want to raise calendar visibility changed event. Let's see how to do that. Now there are five simple steps. Let me show you the presentation slide. Now there are five simple steps to raise a custom event from a control. Obviously, the first step is to create this class. Calendar visibility changed event argument. Calendar visibility change event args class. That is the class we have to create. Args is the short form of argument. Now this class is going to contain the event data. Okay, now this may not be very clear at the moment, but don't worry. As we progress again in this video, you are going to understand the purpose of this class, calendar visibility change event args. This is going to be a very simple class. Okay, so this is called calendar visibility changed event args class, and we will also understand the reason for the naming convention calendar visibility changed args. Okay, we will also understand why we are naming it in such a way. Okay, now let's go to and create this class. Now I am going to create this class. Usually in reality we will have a separate file for that class, but for simplicity's sake I am going to create this class within the user control. So go to the Visual Studio, and within the calendar user control file, so we have to create this class within the user control. Means in this class we have to create our required class. Okay, so go to that place. So what we will need to do, we need to hide the coding first. From here we will okay, what happened? Okay, we need to hide it like this. So here we need to create our classes. So I already have this class, so I'm going to minimize that and then create this class. So public class calendar visibility changed event hours. Now this class is going to contain the calendar visibility changed event data. Now what data will this event going to contain? You know, the calendar visibility changed event. Okay, it will contain true or false. If the calendar is visible, you know, it returns true. Otherwise it returns false. Obviously, to hold that visibility data, we need a boolean fields. So I am going to have a boolean field within this class. So private boolean private boolean I'm going to call that underscore is calendar visible. Underscore is calendar visible. Okay, so that is the private field. Now to expose this private field to the external world, we need a public property. So I'm going to create that. So public boolean I'm going to call that is calendar visible. And this is only going to be, you know, a read-only property. So it is going to have only the get accessor. So whatever is the value, whatever is the value that is going to present in this private field, that will be returned by this property. By this property. So we use this by this property means this one. So by this property, whatever is the value that is going to present in this private field, that will be returned by this property. So return this dot underscore is calendar visible. Okay, private field, and to expose that private field to the external world, we have a public property, and then obviously we need to initialize this private field. Okay. We need to one more curly braces. Okay. So to expose that private field to the external world, we have a public property, and then obviously we need to initialize this private field. Somehow. So I am going to have a constructor for the class, for this class, constructor for this class. So public calendar visibility changed event hours. And within the constructor, so I'm going to say public a constructor will have the same name of the class. So a constructor will have the same name of the class. This is the class, and this class should be the name of the constructor. So I am going to copy that. I have copied already that, and then into the constructor we will pass whether if the calendar is visible or not. So is calendar visible? So in the constructor bool is calendar visible. So is calendar visible? Now we will use that incoming parameter into the constructor to initialize our class private field. So this dot underscore this dot underscore is calendar visible. Visible is equal to whatever field that is coming into the constructor. So very simple class. So whatever field that is coming into the constructor, so very simple class. This class calendar visibility change event hours class is going to contain our event data, whether if the calendar is visible or not. Whether calendar is visible or not. So this property will return true. This property will return true if the calendar is visible. Otherwise it will return false. and this constructor named with the same name class, and this constructor is used to initialize whenever the event occurs. We will create an instance of this class. We will create an instance of this class and pass that, whenever it has to be passed. You will understand that in a bit. So a very simple class which is going to contain our event data, that is step 1. Okay, now let's look at what is step 2. Now look at what is step 2. Step 2 create a calendar visibility change event handler delegate. So we are coming to delegates now. So what is a delegate? Now from this point, if you look at this delegate, means now from this point, if you look at this, delegate are function pointers, and their syntax is much similar to that of a function. And why do we use delegates? Now let's see the one of the main purpose of delegates. Okay, now on this web form, if you look at this design, I have this standard ASP.NET button control. I have this standard ASP.NET .NET button control. Now this button control has the button click event. Now this I have raised mistakenly, so I need to go it here. Now this button control has this button click event. Now one of the main purpose of delegate is to hook up event handlers with events of controls. Now there are 3 things to understand. You have the control itself, means button, and the button has the click event, and the button has the click event. And then obviously when that event occurs, there is a method which is handling that event, which is nothing but button 1_click. Okay, now how do we hook up this event handler button 1_click 1 with button click event? Now how do we hook up this event handler button 1_click 1, means this one, with button click event? That is done with the help of a delegate. So button 1.click, look at that is the click event. you can see the symbol as well, lightning bolt. Means if I type here button 1 dot click, so here you can see the lightning, you can see the symbol as well, the lightning bolt symbol. So button 1 dot click, and then to hook up this event handler, so to hook up this event handler, look at this, to hook up the button 1 this event handler with click event of the button 1 control, we are using this event handler delegate, event handler delegate. Look at this, you know the way we are hooking it up using plus equal. So we are registering this method with the click event of the button 1 control, with the click event of the button 1 control using this event handler. So what is this event handler? Let me right click on that. Go to definition and go to definition. Now look at this. This is actually a delegate. As you can see, this event handler is actually a delegate, as you can see here, a delegate. So this delegate, now look at what we are passing to the constructor of this delegate. Now what we are passing to the constructor of this delegate, we are passing the name of the function. This is the function. So button 1 underscore click. So the delegate will be this delegate event handler will be pointing to this function. This delegate will be pointing to this function whenever this event occurs. Whenever this event occurs, whenever this event occurs, this method automatically this method automatically invoked. So whenever this event occurs, this method automatically invoked. Okay. And how are we doing this and that? Using plus equal and a delegate. Using plus equal and a delegate. And now if you look actually, look at the event handler delegate. Look at the event handler delegate. Once again, we'll go definitions, right click and go to definition. If you actually look at that event handler delegate, look at that is the event handler. That is the event handler. And if you look at the event handler delegate, look at the signature. It looks very much similar to that of a method. A method will have a return type. In this case, it is void. Return type is void. And then it is taking two parameters. One is of type object in, and the other one is of type event argument. Okay. And then look at that it has a delegate keyword, and then look at it has a delegate keyword in front of it. So delegates are function pointers, and their syntax is much similar to that of a function. The only difference between the function syntax and delegate syntax is that a delegate will have a delegate keyword, and it ends with a semicolon, whereas a function let me close this. Whereas a function will have a function body, and it will not have a delegate, and it will not have a function. It will not have a delegate. Now, since delegates are function pointers, since delegates are function pointers, the delegate will have a signature and the function will have a signature. If this delegate has 2 point a function, then the delegate signature has to match, or the function signature has to match that of the delegate. So look at this function, it has void. So look at this. Function has void, and it takes these two parameters. object and event args. Okay, and the delegate signature matches with that, and the delegate signature matches with that. Okay, similarly we need a delegate, basically to point to hook up our event to a event handler method. So that is the reason why we need to create a delegate. So why we need to create a delegate. So the next step is to create a delegate, and look at the name that we are using. Go to the steps 2. So that is the reason why we need to create a delegate. So the next step is to create a delegate, and look at the name that we are using, calendar visibility changed event handler. Now if you look at this here, it says event handler. Where to go? Now if you look at here, it says event handler, just event handler. Now if we use this delegate, this delegate, then our event cannot have any data within that. So if your event doesn't have any data, then we can use this generic event handler. But then the event that we are going to raise is going to contain a boolean flag, boolean data, true or false. True if the calendar visible, otherwise false. So we need to have that event data. So if that is the case, we need to have our own delegate, and then just to matches up with MSDN naming convention, I am going to call this calendar visibility changed. I'm going to call this calendar visibility change event handler. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. So let's create a delegate, calendar visibility changed event handler. Now go to the calendar user control. Minimize it. So again, a delegate is a function pointer. It is its signature is very much similar to that of a function. So a function will have a access modifier, A delegate will have a access modifier, so public, and it is going to be void. So access modifier, so public, and it is going to be void, and I am going to call this calendar visibility change event handler. And then this need to have two parameters. Now look at the delegate of the event handler. The Microsoft event handler, it is having objects sender and event args. I am going to copy that and paste that here, but then I don't want to use this. Means I copy this and paste it here. But then I don't want to use this event args class. That is because my event is going to contain some additional event data. So I am going to use my class that we have created here, calendar visibility change event args. Means I expand it. So I am going to copy this. This is the class which I have created. And another thing that I have forgotten to mention is, so first I copy and paste it here. So, and another thing that I have forgotten to mention is, since this is going to contain event data, so this class is going to contain the event data. It is very good practice to make it inherit from event argument class, because this is the common base class which provide all that functionality to this class. So this is the base class, event args, common base class which provide all that functionality to this class. And then now, so to capture that event data, so now to capture this event data, I am going to use this object instead of this generic event args. So I'm going to use this object instead of this generic. We have already pasted this. Use this object here. Okay, I am talking about this. So instead of the generic event as e, okay, and then I am going to call, okay, then I am going to call this. I am going to put that, put a delegate keyword here, means we need a delegate. Put a delegate word here. So this okay, we need to use e here also. So this makes it as a delegate. So I have a delegate now. So that is the second step. So that is the second step. Now what is this third step? Create calendar visibility, change the event. Change visibility. Calendar visibility, change the event is the third step. So this is most important. Now what are events? Now what are events? Events are nothing but they are visible variables. They are variable of type delegates with an event keyword in front of them. Now just imagine if we want to create an integer variable. Now just imagine if we want to create an integer variable, how would we do that? All we do is int I is equal to whatever so I is a variable. So I is a variable of type integer. So I is a variable of type integer. So if I say int I is equal to 10, then I is a variable of type integer. Okay, so now we are saying an event is a variable of type delegate. So now we are saying an event is a variable of type delegate with an event keyword in front of it. So we already have a delegate here. So we already have a delegate here. Now I want to create an event. Okay, now this event we want that to be raised from this calendar user control class. So you have to create that event inside the calendar user control. But look at this class is created. Look at this class. This class calendar visibility change event hours is created outside of that calendar user control, because this is a class by itself. Okay, and then this is a delegate, and then this is a delegate. Again, delegates are types, just like classes and interfaces. They are referenced type. Okay, so they exist on their own. You don't have to create them inside the calendar user control class. But then an event belongs to a class. So the event has to be inside that calendar user control class. So let me expand this calendar user control. So let me expand this calendar user control class. So I have expanded this calendar user control class, and here so, and then create our event. So I have expanded this calendar user control class, and then create our event. So what is an event? An event is a variable of type delegate. An event is a variable of type delegate. So how do we create a variable of type delegate? So I am going to create public and if you are creating an integer variable, you will say public int I, but I am not going to create a variable of type integer. Instead, I am going to create a variable of type calendar visibility changed event handler delegate. So I am going to call that calendar visibility change event handler. Calendar visibility changed event handler. So I'm going to call that calendar visibility change event handler, and I am going to call the event as calendar visibility changed, and I'm going to call the event as calendar visibility changed. Calendar visibility changed. So this is the event, calendar visibility change with the type calendar visibility change event handler delegate. So this is a variable of type this delegate. So this is a variable of type delegate. Delegate is calendar visibility change event handler, and the event which is calendar visibility changed is a variable of type this delegate, calendar visibility change event handler. Now if you want to make that event, what all you do is prefix an event keyword. Prefix event keyword. Event keyword there. That's it. So we have the event created. That is the third step. Create calendar visibility. That is the third step. Create calendar visibility changed event. And what is the fourth step? Now I'm not going to talk about the fourth step right now. We will come back to that in just a bit. Now the final step is to actually raise the event. So how do we raise the event? That is the another important thing to keep in mind. And when do we raise this event? Whenever the visibility of the calendar is changed. And when does the visibility of the calendar is changed? There are two ways in which the calendar visibility changes. Whenever we click go to the browser. Whenever we click the image button, or whenever we select the date within the calendar. Okay, so during both the so if we select this, the visibility of the calendar changes. When we click the image button, and whenever we click the date. If we click the image button, then the visibility of calendar changes, or when we select a date, the visibility of the calendar changes. Okay. So during both the cases, we want to raise this particular event. So how do we raise that event? So where is the calendar visibility changing? Whenever the user click the image button. Whenever the user clicks the image button, okay, within that calendar user control class, And how do we raise this event? To raise the event, look at this. Whenever the calendar visibility is changed to false, now the first thing to raise the event is we have to create an instance of this class. So we need to create an instance of this class. So copy this. So the first thing to raise the event is we have to create an instance of this class, because this class is going to contain event data. So this class is contain the event data. So I copied it. Now look at this. When we raise the event to the event handler method, we have to pass the event data, whether if the calendar is visible or invisible, and this class is capable of holding the data. Okay, so let's create an instance of this class. Before we raise that event, calendar visibility changed event hours. So go up, and within here before we raise that event, calendar visibility changed event hours, and I am going to call this visibility changed event data. Visibility changed event data, just trying to give it a meaningful name. And then look at the constructor. And look at the constructor. So here we are creating instance of this calendar visibility change event hours, and look at its constructor. It takes boolean parameter. Boolean parameter, stating whether the calendar is visible or not. We have just turned the visibility of the calendar false, so I'm going to pass false into that constructor. So what is going to happen now? This object so what is going to happen now? This object is created. This object is created, and all we need to do right now is to raise the event. All we need to do right now is to raise the event. So how do we raise the event? What is the name of the event that we have created? Calendar visibility changed event. Calendar visibility change event. Where is the calendar visibility change event? Here it is. Copy this event, calendar visibility changed event. To raise the event, all you do is you call that calendar visibility change event. Look at this symbol. Look at the symbol. We got the lightning bolt symbol indicating that it is an event. As you can see, the lightning bolt symbol indicating that it is an event, and we are raising the who is raising this event. This user control is raising, calendar user control class is raising this event. If you go up, this calendar user control is raising this event, calendar visibility changed event. So that is the sender. So that is the sender. So that is the sender. So that is why we use this keyword. So that is why we use this keyword. Here, because this class, an instance of this class will raise the for example, when I drag and drop this calendar user control on a web form, we get calendar user control 1. So that is the instance of this class. So basically this class is raising the this event, calendar visibility, this event, calendar visibility changed event. So sender will be this class, and then what is the next parameter that we have to pass? The calendar visibility changed event args event data, and we have a class of that, Now it should be clear now why we have created this class. So now it should be cleared now why we have created this class, calendar visibility change event args, in step 1, because when we raise the event, we want to pass the event data to that event, Okay, so that is the reason why we have created this this class, calendar visibility change event args. So I am going to pass that object. So I'm going to pass that object, means this object, visibility change event data here. That object to that event. That's it. We are actually done. Okay. But then, an important thing, there are two things, to make this class look much better that we have to do. The first thing is, you have to really check if before we raise the event. Before we raise the event. The first thing is, you have to really check if before we raise the event, we have to check if the event is null or not null. Now, why do we have to do this null check? Don't worry about this. We are going to talk about this in the next video session when we will discuss about actually consuming this event. On a web form later. So if calendar visibility change, so we have to check if the event is null or not null. Now, why do we have to do this null check? We are going to talk about this in the next video session when we will discuss about actually consuming this event on a web form later. Okay, so about this condition, don't really worry. So that is the first change we have to do. That is the first change we have to do. Another change is we don't want to be raising event actually like this. Okay. Another reason Another change is we don't want to be raising event directly like this. Okay, another better way of raising this event is actually by using step 4. By using step 4. What is this step 4? Protected virtual method. Create a protected virtual method to raise the event. And I will tell you in a minute why we have to do that using a method, indirectly rather than doing it directly, rather than doing directly like this. Now, doing it directly like this is not wrong, but then it will be much better if we actually create a protected virtual method to raise that event. Okay, so let's do that. So instead of using event like this directly, I'm going to create one simple protected virtual method within this calendar user control class. So here we need to create the method. So I'm going to create one simple protected virtual method. Within this calendar user control class. So I'm going to call this protected virtual. Protected virtual and it is going to be void, and I am going to call this method, just to be. So calendar visibility change is the event. Calendar visibility change is the event. So I'm going to call this method on calendar visibility changed. On calendar visibility change. Calendar visibility change method. So that is the name of the method, and this method, since we have to pass when we are raising the event, we will pass this event data. We will pass this event data. So since we have to pass when we are raising the event, we will pass this event data. So that will be the parameter. So I have passed it. That is coming into this method. Or you can simply say this E. So we need to remove this, and we can say it E. Okay. So first remove that. protected virtual void on calendar, visibility change event aux e. So this method will take responsibility of raising the event. So if calendar visibility change, that is the name of the event. So let me copy that. If it is long name, if calendar visibility change is not equal to null, okay. Now again, don't worry why we are checking. If calendar visibility change, that is the name of the event. So I have copy pasted it. That is the long name. If calendar visibility change is not equal to null, okay. Now again, don't worry why we are checking this null. As I told you, we will be talking about that in the next video session when we actually consume this event. And then what will this do? And then what will this do? This will just raise that event. And what will this do? This will just raise that event. So this class calendar user control is raising the event. So I use this. So I use this keyword, and then we pass an instance of this whatever parameter that is coming into this method. On calendar visibility method, on calendar visibility change. Okay, so I am going to use this protected method to raise the event. So I will use this protected method to raise the event. I will explain why we are using this method and not going to do it directly like this. I have removed that portion, not like here was that portion. So I would not, I am not going to do it directly like this. In just a bit. Okay, so first let me complete this implementation. So instead of this line, I'm just going to call that method. I'm going to call that just going to call that method on calendar visibility change. So let's go ahead and call that. So on calendar visibility changed. So remove this coding portion. On calendar visibility changed. All we have to pass to this now is that visibility changed event data. Visibility changed event data. So I'm going to pass it there. So I'm going So I'm going to pass it there, and along the same line, let's copy these lines. Let's copy these line and paste it here. Whenever the visibility is changed to true, at that point of time, we want to change that to true. Okay, so whenever the image button is clicked, clicked, we are raising the event. And there is another case when we have to raise the event whenever the selection selection in the calendar changes, we retrieve the selected date. We retrieve the selected date, populate the text box, and we are immediately turning the visibility to false. So even in this case, I want to raise that event, so I'm going to copy that there and then raise that event, paste it here, and as soon as we turn the visibility false. So copy paste that line of code here also. Calendar visibility changed events aux, visibility change events data. This is the instances we have created earlier, and then on calendar visibility changed, visibility change event data. Okay. So we turn the visibility to change as soon as we turn the visibility to false. What we are doing, we are also raising that event. So we passing false. So that's it. We are done. Okay, now let's understand why we are doing this. Why don't we actually directly raise the event itself? That is because notice the signature of this method. Notice the signature of this method. Which method we are talking about? This virtual method. The signature of this method, the on calendar visibility change method, it is a protected virtual method, is going to be available for any class that is going to drive from this calendar user control, from that calendar user control. And also this method is marked virtual, and also this method is marked virtual, meaning the derived class can actually override the implementation of this method. And why is it important and useful for the derived classes? Because let's say I have a class, I am going to have maybe simple maybe special calendar user control class or something like this. Public means go to the bottom of this coding here. Public, let's call it, let me show you practically. So public class, let's call the special calendar control. Special calendar control. Or something like that, and this one is going to inherit from that calendar user control class. Calendar user control class. So it is going to inherit from the calendar user control class. Okay, if that is the case, now since this method is a protected virtual method, we are talking about that method. This method is a protected virtual method. Now this method can be overridden in this derived class. Protected override void on calendar visibility changed. Overridden in this derived class, right? So if it just type override keyword, and then if I select whatever is the method on calendar visibility, look at that. Okay, so I am overriding, means if I go to that way, override void whatever is the method on calendar visibility change. Look at that. Okay, so I am overriding on calendar visibility change method. On calendar visibility change method. Now here, look at this event. Now here, look at this event. This is the event. Look at this event. In this, if I am using the special calendar control, if in this I am using the special calendar control, class anywhere else, instead of using calendar user control, now in this class I can, the event, the calendar visibility change event will be raised. Now before that I can actually do whatever I want. Before raising the event I can do some additional work. So that is the advantage of using a protected virtual method to raise the event, rather than raising it directly. It makes your derived class it makes your derived classes more flexible. You can change them the way you want. You can create specialized version of this calendar user control. You can create a specialized version of this calendar user control. So we are just kind of keeping future in mind and designing our events. That is why always whenever we raise events, we create a protected virtual method so that the child classes can do some additional work before they actually raise the event. Okay, so those are all the changes that we need to do. So quickly, if we quickly recap, create this class. So if quickly recap, create this class. Create this class which is going to contain our event data. Okay, and create this delegate and create this delegate because we hook up event handlers to events using delegates. And what are events in the first place? And what are events? And what are the events in the first place? Events are variable of type delegates with an event keyword. So we need a delegate to create an event. So create the delegate, then create the event, and then use a protected virtual method. Protected virtual method. To raise the event rather than directly raising it. And we have understood the reason why we have to do it that way, and finally raise the event itself. And how we are raising that event? Using the protected virtual on calendar visibility changed. Using the protected virtual method on calendar visibility change. So we calling that on calendar visibility change. So we calling that method, passing in the object, so we calling that method. Here is the method, and passing in the object that is going to contain the event data. With all this, let's go ahead and compile these solutions. Let's go ahead and compile the solutions. Go to the solutions, build solution. Build succeeded, as you can see here. Now on my web form, I already have the calendar user control. So calendar user control. So at this point I should be able to what is the ID of the calendar user control? Calendar 1. And look at this, when I put in there and press dot, we should see the event. Means if I type calendar user control ID 1, and then I type dot, calendar dot calendar 1 dot, and here you can see calendar visibility changed. Here you can see this. Calendar visibility change event. Looking the symbol lightning bold symbol. In the next video session, we will actually discuss about two things. We will discuss about two things. What is how to consume this calendar visibility change event. How to consume this calendar visibility change event. And then we will also understand the reason of checking for null. before raising the event. So if you remember, calendar user control in this virtual method which we are raising, we are directly checking if calendar visibility change not equal, if calendar visibility change not equal to null, only then we are raising the event. Okay, what would happen if we don't check for null and directly raise the event? We will talk about this in our next video session. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.